Welcome to the Missouri Freedom Initiative. It's the 16th of December. It's 2023. Welcome aboard, everyone. We're going to talk about silver and gold tonight, and we're going to give you some SEPA news, too. Let us know you can hear us on whatever platform you're watching, whether it be Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, or Odyssey. Please let us know by giving us a 5x5. Hey there, Caleb. I was just showing everyone what the debt clock looks like. It's kind of devastating, really, when you think about it. $33.921 trillion. In the U.S. total debt, which includes a lot of, unfunded liabilities, $103 trillion. So it looks even worse. Okay, all right, time to start the show, but I wanted to show everyone here something else that's kind of interesting on the debt clock. I'm going to zoom out here and show you something you may not have seen before. And that is, if you look, and I know it's hard to see here. Let me see if I can explode it a little bit and move the slide bar here. You'll see that the dollar to silver ratio and the dollar to gold ratio are both showing 0 per ounce. What the expected amount of silver is based on the M3 and M2 index is $1,500 per ounce for silver and 12,000 ounces per ounce of gold. So at any rate, look at that. It's actually the dollar supply is shrinking if you watch that number. And so at the same time they're printing money, they're taking money out of the system. So that's their way of trying to hold things together as long as possible. So that is why the debt clock does not show current dollar to silver ratio and dollar to gold ratios, is because it's based on the M2 money supply, which is technically shrinking right now. But at the same time, as you can see on the regular debt clock, the national debt keeps going up. So we're going into debt at a faster clip, and we're taking money out of the system at the same time. Yay for us, I guess. And all right, so that's enough of that, but that's the debt clock for today. Yep. And hey, we got John from the Missouri Liberty Report with us. What a treat. Thank you for joining us, man. John may not be at his microphone right now, but I wanted to let you guys know before we even get started on silver and gold, I wanted to say SEPA. I told you guys December is when we were going to see some SEPA action in the 8th Circuit. That turns out to be incorrect. It's in February. It's February 12th through the 16th is the slated time for the 8th Circuit to hear the arguments on SEPA, our Missouri's Second Amendment Preservation Act. There is no panel as of yet. We don't know what judges will be there. We know very little. We just know the dates between the 12th and the 16th. During that week period, they will be hearing arguments on SEPA. So February is when that all happens. That's when it all goes down. So you can bet we'll bring you that news and make sure that you have as much accurate, up-to-date information as humanly possible as it is made available. And generally, the panel should be announced before it happens as well. We'll know what judges are on the panel. That's always interesting to know, too. Looks like we have Guitar Authority with us in YouTube. Thank you for joining us tonight. And, okay, guys, it's finally happened, and I'll show you here on the screen here. Bill Hardwick's bill is in the House, and we're going to talk about his bill and why his bill is so important to us. So let's go to the Missouri House of Representatives. This official site is house.mo.gov if you've never been to the Missouri House website before. Then you click on Members. Now, there's several ways to get to the bill, but we'll go to Members, and then we're going to find Hardwick, by last name Hardwick, right there. We're going to click on Bill Hardwick. You get a picture of Bill, you get a biography of Bill, and, you know, some information about his office, but you also see his sponsored bills. The only thing he's got is a bill called HB 1955. And that, of course, is the Constitutional Money Act. So let's click on that. And then when you click on it, there's no information. Oh, my goodness. Kind of a naked site here. The reason being is there's no official actions on this yet. The bill itself is right up here, but let's go to co-sponsors. Look at that, gang. Let's read the names out loud. First co-sponsor, Dirk Deaton. Second, Bishop Davison. Third, Chad Perkins. Fourth, Mazzy Christensen. Fifth, Hardy Billington. Sixth, Holly Jones. And seventh, Travis Smith. So I want to give a shout out to everyone, particularly, to Dirk Deaton. I'm going to start with him real quick. Dirk handled the bill in the House in 2023. I'm sure you all remember that. It's pretty meaningful if he comes in and his first co-sponsor on this bill for Bill Hardwick. Now, there are other versions of this bill out too, but we've already got, momentum with this bill already. This one's already got co-sponsors. The others do not. So at any rate, I also want to give a shout out to Travis Smith. Travis Smith is quite the patriot in our house. Now, I know that some people think that Travis, is just, he's kind of, he doesn't really stand out. Well, I'll tell you what, as far as the Missouri Freedom Initiative is concerned, he stands out quite a bit. I want to tell a story about Travis Smith real quick, just because he's the last name on the list and he's a friend, is every single time we go up to Jeff City and Travis Smith sees us in the hall, he literally runs down the hall to us with his arm extended, shaking all of our hands, asking us how we're doing. And what are you doing? What can I help you with today? That's the kind of guy Travis Smith is. And he has been a good friend to our organization and also to the Constitution. He's had one or two bad votes, but the same thing could be said of Bill Eigel. The same thing could be said of Eric Burleson. So you're never going to get perfection. It's hard to find perfection, basically in someone who goes up to Missouri and they have different reasons for voting different ways. But Travis is by far and large an excellent voter and definitely a good friend to the Missouri Freedom Initiative and a big supporter of gold and silver. We found that out last year as well. So this is, and before I get back to you, I'm going to talk a little bit more, and sorry about that, Caleb, I'm going to talk a little bit more about this co-sponsorship thing. And the reason being is because this is the most important thing we can get done right now, is get co-sponsors on this bill. And let's concentrate on Bill Hardwick's bill. Like I said, it's already got momentum out the gate. And actually, it's a copy of Senator Eigel's, actually. So it even has the name Constitutional Money Act. So beyond that, you guys remember what happened last year in the House. The floor leader, Jonathan Patterson, called on Democrats to come and speak about the bill. And then they went into their circus show, about Nazi gold, Confederate gold, MAGA gold, and zombie apocalypse silver. Now, what people can't see from the video that we saw in real time, because we were in the gallery, we saw this. We saw a whole line of Republicans get up to speak at the other microphone, and they were not called upon. In fact, the very first person in line waving a white paper, trying to get Jonathan Patterson's attention, let me speak, please. I'm in front of the microphone, white paper, just going back and forth like this, was Travis Smith. Travis Smith is a friend of gold and silver. And so at any rate, I just wanted folks to know that. That's why we have to get co-sponsors on the bill, is because Jonathan Patterson didn't let Republicans speak to the bill on the floor. He let Democrats speak for an hour and then refused to PQ the bill and call for a vote on the bill. Now, of course, that was probably because of Dean Plocker, because of the contest that was going on between the Senate and the House. But I want you guys to know I have a very clear memory of that line of Republicans, and I would say there was 15 or 16 of them, all lined up at a microphone. And Travis Smith was the one that was actually sitting at the mic. He was, or standing at the mic, waving that white paper, trying to get Jonathan Patterson to give him some time to speak about the bill, which was SB 100, the silver and gold bill. So a big shout out to our friend Travis Smith, and of course to Dirk Deaton, who carried the bill last year. and everyone else. Holly, who has signed. We have Mazzy, who signed. Maisie, guys, and Mazzy, if you watch, if I get your name all messed up, I am terribly sorry. Someone needs to pound that into my head. I think it's Maisie, and I call her Maisie. Okay, Maisie Christensen now. She is happily married. Congratulations. So that's what's going on with the bill at this time. So and also too, there's other versions and flavors of the bill that have shown up. If you saw my my email that I put out earlier today, we have one from Doug Ritchie in the House, and it's the House perfected bill from SB 100 from last year. So he's introduced a version of gold and silver, and so has Rick Bratton. Rick Bratton has introduced the perfected Senate version of SB 100 from 2023. Guys, there is a lot of silver and gold activity going on in the House and the Senate. Hot topic, and also around the country. I'm not prepared to speak about that tonight because I didn't have time to do research, but I can tell you for a fact, New Hampshire's got a strong bill. Florida and Texas. Those I can guarantee. So, at any rate, that's kind of the update on what's going on, but we're going to have to call up our representatives and get them to co-sponsor. In just a little bit here, I will call in real time on my phone and call up my representative at his office. He's not there. I'll leave a message, but you guys can hear an example of the kind of message you would probably want to leave for your representative if their name's not on the list. So, okay. I got all the monologue stuff out of the way. So hello to Caleb. We have Voodoo Queen with us. And, of course, we have our good friend John with the Missouri Liberty Report. And hello to everyone in, YouTube land. Oh, yeah, shoot, Doug and Maya. I'm sorry, I don't see their images here. So, yes, Doug and Maya are with us as well. They're with us actually every week. So they're regulars. And don't forget about January 9th, Knock and Shock date. Knock and Shock has an actual honest-to-God mission, and people will have, basically who are leading teams will have papers with them to know who has not co-sponsored our silver and gold bill with Bill Hardwick, because we'll be concentrating on those folks for the Knock and Shock. Guys, it's going to be a lot of fun. If you guys remember, those who were with us during the early days of SEPA in 2020 and 2021, I think it was the 2020 version of SEPA that had a record-breaking 89 co-sponsors. It is by far, nothing even comes close in the history of Missouri politics to get that many co-sponsors on a bill. And the second biggest one, I believe, was Susie Pollack's bill, Parents' Choice on Vaccinations. That would have been HB 2009. So we definitely, silver and gold is great. I think we should probably do at least as well as SEPA. So we should aim to get at least 89 co-sponsors. That gets a lot of attention, gang. Remember I was telling you, Travis Smith standing in front of a microphone on the House floor trying to get Jonathan Patterson to call on him when he was giving those Democrats time to talk about Nazi gold. This is how they get their voices heard when crap like that happens, is they co-sponsor bills. And the more names there are on a co-sponsorship for a bill, the more, actually the higher a priority it becomes for leadership. This is the way it works. Let's see. I think there's 163 House members. Something like that. Yep, that's right. That's absolutely right. There is a magic number for that, and I think you're right. I think it might be 82 is the number. Yep. So, okay, Firefly Homestead says, what does 5x5 mean? Actually, that's just a term that says, can you hear me? That's basically what, when someone asks for a 5x5, it just means they're asking basically, can you hear me? I think it probably comes from the military. Mm-hmm. Yep. Sure. Yep. 762 by 39 is one of my favorites, by the way.
I like that one myself, but I never heard 5x5 in the military.
Okay, gotcha. And
That
also,
that
go ahead.
might be past my time. I mean, I got put out in '94, so
Okay, gotcha. Okay, and guys, guess what? Because of Guitar Authority, I found out that I forgot to unmute you guys software-wise. So
Oh no.
no. So at any rate, yeah.
Oh
So
no.
the good news is, actually, I did most of the talking for that, so they didn't miss much of what you guys said. Honestly. So it's early enough in the game that my mistakes. And by the way, I'd like to blame someone else at this point, because there's one thing I learned during the Bill Clinton administration is if I can blame other people for my personal shortcomings, then I don't have to take personal responsibility. And I think we all learned that during the Clinton administration. The 90s were a wonderful time, if you didn't like taking personal responsibility.
It's also 2023. No one has personal responsibility now.
Yeah, that's true. I agree. And so I want to say, Isaac, thank you so much, sir. I really do appreciate you letting me know. I do that on purpose when I play music at the beginning, so that way the guys can still talk and it doesn't go through the music. Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So we had talked about the bill. We talked about the fact that it is out now and we need to make phone calls. So Doug and Maya are on the phone with me, so I'm going to put them on hold, and I'm going to actually call up Bob Titus. So let's get his number up here, and you guys can listen to it in real time. Okay, let's go back to members, and let's find Bob Titus. He is my rep. Bob Titus. Good man, by the way. Okay, there we go. There's Bob Titus. And I'm going to mute you guys and actually put you on hold here, Doug, so I'll be back. Okay. Now they're on hold, and I am going to call a number, and that is 573-751. This is his office number, by the way, guys. I'm not calling him at home on the weekend here. 3833. And here we go. Calling away.
You have reached the office of Representative Bob Titus for the 139th District. We are sorry we missed your call. Please leave a detailed message and we will return your call as soon as possible. Thank you. You may start your message now.
Representative Titus, this is Patrick Holland. I know you know who I am. I know you know my phone number too, but I'm calling to ask you a favor, sir. I would very much like you to co-sponsor Representative Bill Hardwick's 1955, HB 1955, which is the Constitutional Money Act. This is a very important bill for Missouri and important for the conservatives in Missouri, as their voices were not able to be heard during the actual House floor time in 2023. So this is a great way for your voice to be heard, that you do want silver and gold as legal tender in the state of Missouri. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to co-sponsor that bill and show your support for it. Thank you very much, sir. You have a wonderful evening. God bless you. Okay, so there we go. That's an example of a phone call that you would leave with your representative asking for their support. Their support comes in the form of co-sponsorship, gang. That's exactly how they do it. And frankly, I think with the amount of bills that are coming up in the House and the Senate, like Rick Bratton's was a total surprise. And I did hear a rumor that there were several bills coming up in the House. So, but I didn't want to say anything until they actually materialized, because I didn't know if that was going to happen or not. But one has already materialized. And but right now we're just going to go ahead and throw our weight behind the exact copy of what Senator Eigel has, which is, of course, SB 735. The exact copy of that in the House would be, of course, HB 1955. The co-sponsorship thing is a big thing. During SEPA, it was a very big deal to get your name on that document. And once again, This was so big at the time, so popular, that 89 people put their names to it, and this had never been seen before. And I believe that was in 2020. I'm not sure it hit 89 in 2021. I think it may have hit 85 in 2020. I don't remember the exact numbers, but we could always go back and look at that. I do remember that it topped out at 89. So I'm pretty sure that was in 2020, right before they shut down the government for COVID, if you guys remember that fiasco. Okay, so opening up for general discussion now. Let's see. Julie says, I'm afraid to call my senator, Mike Sierpoy. I would be too. Just going in his office is frightening. I mean, calling him's got to be bad too. Or Rep. Carrie Engel. But you know what, though, Julie? And this is Julie, and she is chiming in from YouTube, by the way, in the comment section. So, Julie, I want you to know that basically, first of all, I would call Carrie Engel. I definitely would do that and ask her to co-sponsor it. It is not an offensive bill. So there's really nothing offensive about it. But if constituents don't call and ask them to co-sponsor, they never will anyway. So you might as well at least give it a shot. As far as Mike Sierpoy goes, in the Senate, they have somewhat co-sponsorship does exist in the Senate. It does happen, but it's rare. And Mike Sierpoy is not a big fan of Senator Eigel. So, and I happen to know that for a fact from being up in Jeff City once or twice.
An understatement.
Yeah, it's an understatement. Go ahead.
They have had their personal beefs where Sierpoy's been on the radio and then Eigel's called in and roasted him.
Mm-hmm.
For good reason, very good reason.
Let's see. Almira says, I'm in Foley, Lincoln County, and we're ignored by every elected official. I'll tell you what, Al, come on into our live stream sometime and let's talk about that. Let's talk about every elected official in your county and what we can do to get their attention. And we're good at doing that, the Missouri Freedom Initiative. So I think maybe we can help each other. You know, we'll see what we can do anyway. So let's see. What platform is he using for his main platform? I'm sorry, Al. I'm not sure what that's about. For who is using what platform for their main platform? I missed something here.
Yeah,
okay,
you missed something in there.
I'm listening on Rumble as well as here. Okay, gotcha. Rumble is our main platform. If you're referring to us, the Missouri Freedom Initiative, we consider Twitter and Rumble our main platforms. The reason being is YouTube gives us a really hard time. In fact, they're doing it right now. I don't complain about it anymore, but they're taking away view counts from us, even on the live streams. And you'd have to be on this side of it with the YouTube studio to see the difference. Between what you see on YouTube and what I see in the YouTube studio is a very different number. And they're even different numbers after the show is over. For some reason, that's the way they want to deal with us, YouTube. It's called shadow banning. So, but at any rate, yes, Rumble and Twitter are our two, and we're streaming on Twitter right now live as well, by the way. And that will be a regular thing. We will continue streaming live on Twitter as well. And we do have a lot of folks following us on Twitter. So we're very fortunate in that regard. And then Rumble, our account is somewhat small because we've had to completely remake our account. Our old account, which had hundreds and hundreds of followers, actually was under our old name, Missouri Liberty Alliance. And then, of course, Friends of Roy Blunt sued me because they said Liberty Alliance USA. It's too close to that. And then they also said, we noticed you had a donate button for PayPal. So any donations that you have received using that name, we're entitled to. And of course, we received 0 donations, not one. So I was able to show them proof of that. And we got documented proof of that there were 0 donations. And I just took away the donation link anyway. No one was donating. That was about 1.5 years ago or something like that. Maybe 2 years ago now. It's about
Go ahead. We literally just operate strictly on volunteer at this rate.
Yeah, it's because basically when you have people coming after you, like the likes of Roy Blunt suing you for money that you may have received as a donation because of the name you use, we had 0 donations. We've never had donations. So we're not a 501c3 or anything else like that either. So at any rate, that's the reason why we had to create a brand new Rumble channel, because the old Rumble channel wouldn't let us change the name from Missouri Liberty Alliance to Missouri Freedom Initiative. And we're now the Freedom Initiative. So hopefully we've stabilized now, and we don't have politicians coming after us suing us anymore. So that's the goal anyway. That's the hope. Okay, we have Shane Gordon. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was saying, yeah, that was a dumpster fire.
Yes, it was. In fact, that's another thing, is that Eric Burleson asked me for a copy of the paper from the law firm, and I totally forgot to do that for him. I need to get that done. I don't want him to think I was fibbing about that, because he was shocked when he heard about it, that we were being sued. He couldn't believe it, because he knew Roy Blunt, and he didn't know that Roy Blunt and I have some history. Not very good history, by the way. Shane Gordon is checking in from his cabin in Wisconsin. So, so very, very nice, man. Well done. Let's see. Okay, I'm back from YouTube land. Okay, gotcha. And so that's Mike Charlie. So that was the Al guy we were talking to earlier, I think. All right, and I'm going to go check some of the other platforms for comments. Going to go into Odyssey and see what's going on there. And we have JRM checking in. Good evening, Patrick and gang. Thank you. Good evening to you, JRM. Okay, so we're caught up on comments as far as I know right now. So general discussion, gang. There's a lot of bills coming out, and it's already been coming to me. What are we going to do? When are we going to support? How are we doing this? And I did put a little bit in our email, and the reason we're talking about this, because a lot of seasoned pros in here, is we actually have a democratic process for deciding the bills that the Missouri Freedom Initiative puts its logo on and does knock and shock missions and operations over. So that's generally done the last Saturday of the year. That's coming up in 2 weeks. That would be the 30th of December. And what we do is we have everyone comb through legislation in the state of Missouri. This is just for the state of Missouri, gang. Please don't bring bills from other states. And we comb through the legislation, and we basically bring our favorite bills. I ask people to limit it to 5. Just select 5 of your favorite bills and bring them with you to the live stream, and we will actually go through all of them, everyone who brings bills. And we will actually have a vote of our group on a live stream on what bills we're going to be supporting and putting the Missouri Freedom Initiative logo on our flyers for Knock and Shock as a group. So everyone gets to participate in that. The counts for the vote are not electronic. They're actually manually counted. You don't have to worry about there being election fraud on this one. Oh boy, we're on YouTube. We can't talk about election fraud. But at any rate, that's what we do. And there's debate, in our group and everything. We discuss what bills have a higher priority than others. But remember now, we're talking about the sovereignty of Missouri. That's one of the most important things we look at. And that's basically what protects the rights of the people of Missouri and the resources of Missouri, basically from the likes of the federal government, things of that nature, corporations sometimes. Basically, how can we keep our rights or get our rights back or enhance our rights? And that's mainly what we do here. And it's very constitutional as well. We won't support unconstitutional. Go ahead.
And push the feds out of Missouri.
Yeah, and push, as much as we can, push the federal government out of the state of Missouri. That's right. And we're taking an awful lot of Fed money, too. We'd sure like that to start going down by a little bit. But we think that there's another plan by the federal government. There's a reason why the federal government has an interest in us. And Misty Atkinson is joining us this evening. Hello, Misty. Thank you for joining us, by the way. Okay, and then Firefly says, I'm ducking out and going to Rumble. Okay. And also, let's see, we have Paul David. Thanks for the example of calling our representatives. Let's let it not be so foreign to the average person. And Paul, that's exactly right. That's why I do it. And I don't do live calls during the day anymore to representatives or senators because they don't like that. They really, really don't like that. They don't like being put on the spot like that. They feel it's, some of them feel it's a form of gotcha politics where it's really just training, showing people basically how to talk to a representative or a senator just like anyone else. But let's see, can't figure out the chat on Rumble, says Firefly. You have to be a subscriber on Rumble, by the way, and then follow the channel, and then you can comment on Rumble. It's the same thing with YouTube, so you got to have an account. Let's see. Mike Charlie says, I've shared across my social media feeds. So MeWe, Gitter, and Gab. Thank you for the Missouri pages. I really do appreciate that. I really do. Okay, and I mean it, guys. General discussion. Hop in. So we got Caleb, we got Voodoo, and we've got John from the Missouri Liberty Report.
Hey, Patrick.
Don't forget Doug and Maya.
Yes, Doug and Maya. Go ahead, Doug.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say that probably HB 1955 will probably be on our list.
I'm thinking
support for next year.
Yeah. I'm thinking it will. Yeah, that's my guess too. Actually, that was a really good guess. And
just going out on a limb here, you know.
Well, I suspect, basically that it's going to be for several reasons, but holy mackerel, the General Assembly just loves it too. I mean, that's what's so crazy about it. It's really, really a shame it didn't go through in 2023. But the General Assembly loves silver and gold. So, I mean,
we got unfinished business from last year.
That's right, unfinished business. And we have basically filings in the House now where, I think Dirk did file a bill for silver and gold last year in the House, but we looked at it and he didn't include anything having to do with the Treasury. And I think he wasn't asking the treasurer to take silver and gold in the form of payment for taxes if offered. And so we decided to throw our weight behind Senator Eigle's bill. So I think, if memory serves, I'm almost positive that's what happened. So at any rate, any way you slice it, I mean, Hardwick's bill is the same as Eigle's bill. And they're not perfect, but they're getting real close. And little birdie has told me there might be an amendment or two coming to button it up and make it even better than it is currently. And so if that's the case, we've got a winning team here. Guys, if you don't know Bill Hardwick, it's a real good opportunity to get to know him during our knock and shock operations. By the way, I did talk to Representative Hardwick, and that's because I found out he was on Ron's basement. So this talk happened earlier this week. And so at any rate, I was mentioning to him about knock and shock. He remembers our group going out and doing knock and shock. Just the huge number is kind of shocking, actually, when we go out in large numbers. I mean, we kind of fill the hallway, walking down the hallway and everything. But he did say if there's not enough room in Bill Eigle's office, he says, please use mine too. He's got the opposite, or not opposite, but right down the hall, the long hallway from Bill Eigle's office. He's got the other corner office, and he has that office alone. So if we have, 100 folks show up for knock and shock, there is plenty of room for everyone's coats, their lunch boxes, stuff like that. That's why we've always chosen a senator's office in the past, gang, is because senators generally have bigger offices. And it just works out better for us. And we're talking about bigger closets to hang up coats in. And so it was not discriminatory towards our friend Bill Hardwick at all when I said home base would be in Bill Eigle's office. But so at any rate, if we have large numbers again, then, basically we've got two places for home base. So that's really cool. That works out very well. Okay. And so, Doug, yes, I guess I would have to agree with you. I'm pretty sure that everyone's going to pick silver and gold. I'm actually making an assumption on that. And you know what happens when you assume, but
yes, I do.
Yeah. So, but I'm pretty sure people are going to like that.
But seeing how much support we had within the initiative last year, I don't think anybody's going to vote against it.
Yeah, I don't think so either. So, but at any rate, if you are not familiar with this process or weren't with us last year for the process, please join us. All that's, by the way, you don't have to find bills and put them in the pool, for consideration by the group and a vote. You can just come in and watch the process, see how we do it. We look at the nuts and bolts of a lot of these bills. And also when someone brings up a bill, they're going to be quizzed on it too. So they better know it. So read your bill. And the easiest way to do it, and I can tell you from personal experience, is look at the executive summaries. Don't read the whole bill first. It'll drive you crazy. Just read the executive summary first. If the executive summary interests you, then do a deep dive into the bill language. That's the best way to handle it. Otherwise, your eyes are going to come out of your head, and aliens are going to pop out of your chest, and dogs and cats will be living together, and it's just you can only read legislation for so long, before you wish you weren't alive anymore. So
tell me about it.
Yep. Okay. All right. I do mean it, though. General discussion. I will definitely look at all the chats here. Yeah, go ahead, Maya.
Sorry, I was going to ask if anyone is aware of any real food legislation, because we haven't had a chance to look yet. We've been so busy since my accident with going to the naturopath and stuff.
Gotcha.
So I was curious, any real food legislation anyone aware of yet?
Yes, I'm aware of raw milk legislation, and that was actually reported by the 10th Amendment Center, so let me find that for you. Yes, that's correct. The 10th Amendment Center is reporting on a lot of bills in Missouri. And they're really good about that. Mike Bolden and Mike Mahari are good friends of the Missouri Freedom Initiative. They've been reporting on Senator Eigel's bill already. And so what I do is I go to 10thamendmentcenter.com, and then from the essential reading, I select number 2, which is the 10ther blog. And then there was something in there about milk, and I need to find it. Did you see that one, Caleb?
I have not seen that one. Let me look and see if I can find. I'm just gonna go to the House side and go to legislation pre-filed.
Yep, do that for me real quick here. And in fact, let me, as opposed to me doing this by myself here, let me bring this over here on the screen so others can see where I'm at, what I'm looking at right now. Once again, let's go home here, 10thamendmentcenter.com. And that's based in California, by the way, but they do a lot of reporting on what happens in the Missouri legislature. So this is a really good resource, basically for, constitutional conservatives in the state of Missouri to go to, because they will give you their own executive summaries on bills that are filed, and in any state, by the way, but they seem to have more Missouri legislation than any other state for some reason. So they are watching us very carefully out there.
Gotta love Bolden and Mahari.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I am looking for it. Gosh darn it. You know what? Maybe someone sent me an email on that. And I'll tell you what, Isaac, if you're watching right now, did you send me an email about raw milk sales? Something about that? Someone sent me that. Gosh darn it. Maybe they didn't report it at the 10th Amendment Center. It was reported someplace else, maybe.
I'm looking at under their subject index. Usually it's the fastest way to find what you're looking for.
Yep. For those of you who haven't seen it, this is the story on the sound support money for Missouri, SB 735, right here. In fact, I'll be very happy to go ahead and copy and paste that into all of our socials right now, starting with Odyssey. So you guys can read the 10th Amendment Center's write-up on the silver and gold bill. And even though he's covering SB 735, he mentions Bill Hardwick and Representative Davis, who is also someone who's expected to be filing a bill very similar to Senator Eigel's. So that would be Michael. I did check before the live stream, and he's one of the names I didn't want to bring up until we know for sure that there was going to be something filed. And there's yet another name that I've heard already that's going to be filing as well. But at any rate, it's in Odyssey. Let me go to Rumble and put this in here. Okay, now on Rumble, you guys have it. Now hitting YouTube. Oh, hang on. Misty put it in YouTube already. It's House Bill 1711, Schnelting raw milk. So there you go. So if Maya, do you have pen and paper?
Yep, she's writing it right now.
Okay, gotcha. Yep.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You bet. And in fact, that probably won't be the only food-related bill that comes out. If I'm pretty sure Holly Jones is going to be going again to literally stop, mRNA vaccines, basically for livestock, or at the very least labeling those needles basically for veterinary use. Because farmers probably don't know, ranchers may not know when they call the vet to come out and do vaccines, basically for their livestock. I don't think they ask them, is this an mRNA vaccine or is this a traditional vaccine? So I think under what Holly Jones was trying to do, they would have to make it known. So we'll be looking for that as well. In fact, that bill went far, actually. It didn't quite get to the floor, but she got some pretty big coverage on that nationally on that bill. So good for Holly Jones on that.
That's why we don't call a vet.
Yep. Yeah, I understand.
We've been doing all our own vet care for about 20 years.
Okay. And also, Misty Atkinson is offering the room that she's in, 115A, for personal belongings for knock and shock operations. So thank you very much, Misty. We may take you up on that. Sometimes when we have a lot of us, there's just no more room for coats. I remember Bill Eigel's office, for one of the knock and shocks, his entire couch in his office was piled high with coats. Because they ran out of room in the closet there. So it actually helps quite a bit to have, a little extra room. So thank you, Misty. Isn't that great, guys? For those of you watching who have never done this before, people literally offer up their offices, basically to put your belongings in when you go up to do activist things at the Capitol. So it's really kind of cool. They, for instance, if you've got something that needs to be refrigerated that you brought for lunch, most of them have refrigerators in their office. We'll let you, have some room in the refrigerator there to keep your stuff cool. And many of them have microwaves and ranges, actually. I've seen a range or two. They're electric ranges in some of those offices, so they can cook in there as well. So, so yeah, maybe we should have like a clam bake or something, one of these days we go up to the Capitol.
No. We need to see if we can get a hold of some steaks and go up there. And then
that'd be great.
I'm good with cast iron.
Yeah, cast iron. There we go. That'll work.
Little rosemary, little garlic, little real butter, just a touch of olive oil with the garlic in it, just enough to keep that butter from burning so fast. Fresh crushed
Don't
salt
you think
and
pork
paprika.
would be better, seeing that's what they add to all these bills?
There's less of a chance of rejection, I suppose. Misty said something here. She said, I don't know if Representative Jones' bill on informed consent / product disclosure will be filed by the time your discussion on December 30th. The discussion of the exact language is still happening. Understood, Misty. And I'll tell you what generally happens is we take on other bills as we know other bills cannot make it for one reason or another. And let's see. Missouri Liberty Report says, I'm being told that now A3 pass, the big money interests are going after Delta 8, which is hemp derived, going to try and monopolize the industry. You know what? That's actually, I did get an email on that. That is worthy of discussion tonight. Caleb, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's not surprising to me.
Well, you're right. It shouldn't shock any of us, but that's something that I've been talking about in our group for a long, long time. My interest in hemp. And the reason I have such a big interest in hemp is because hemp can be made into biodiesel. We could become energy independent or actually have an energy surplus in the state of Missouri with hemp farming. It is possible. It can be done.
You know what's funny about that is one of the bills that passed and got signed last year actually contained, it was one of the Christmas tree bills, contained something that basically eliminated the Missouri side on any regulation of hemp.
Yep. And now it's under the federal regulations now. No more Missouri regulations. So we would actually need a bill that would exempt us from federal regulations. And also, too, we need investment in that arena, too. Guys, my interest in hemp has nothing to do with recreation. I don't care one way or the other on that. My interest is that we actually become energy independent in the state of Missouri. That is a very big deal. And it seems like a pipe dream, even as I speak about it right now. It sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? That Missouri actually produces more energy than it takes in. We produce enough biodiesel out of hemp to export more, than we're actually pulling in. That's what's possible in Missouri. Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, I was agreeing there.
Yep. So let's see. John says Ethan Thampy is supposed to be getting with me on some legislation to fight back. Okay, John, you let Ethan or Epen know that at least my personal interest is there. And if there is a good bill, we'll throw it into the mix for the decision-making process on December 30th. And so, and Casey Rich, of course, is saying HB 1401, which is dealing with illegal immigration, and HR 1711. He's referring once again to the raw milk bill. So, but I think basically that hemp thing is a very, very important deal. Whatever state jumps on hemp farming, basically for biodiesel, literally for fuel, is going to win, because no one's thinking about that right now. And we'll have to go. In fact, what I'll do is I'll get with some people who know, and I'll get you guys a breakdown of the chemistry of why it's more efficient to use hemp than it is to use corn to make biodiesel. But I think the main deal is because you can use the entire hemp plant. Whereas with corn, you're just using the kernels. You throw away the stalk and the the ears. Go ahead.
Keep in mind too, you don't get biodiesel from corn. You get ethanol from
there you go.
Ethanol, and that's a horribly inefficient process with corn for that. Biodiesel is a different thing, and hemp contains a lot of oils in it, and you can modify that plant so it'll produce even more oil and waxy substance, which in turn, when you grind that down and you use some alcohol to separate it from the plant, and you're left with effectively like an overscaled version of an essential oil extraction process.
Yeah.
Then you're left with an oil that you add a methanol to, and which, by the way, methanol is a byproduct of ethanol production. So methanol and what's the word I'm looking for? Sodium hydroxide. So like lye, and what in the byproduct, that whole thing is lye soap.
Yep.
And what you're left behind with is methyl esters. Converts that over, so your byproduct is like I said, lye soap, glycerin based lye soap.
Okay. And I'm going to bring up something real quick here that Warrior Class, he emailed me earlier today, and he's also saying in the chat here that the UCC now permits the confiscation of all assets to resolve systematic debt, and that local laws don't matter. They will use the supremacy clause of the United States Constitution to do it. By the way, there's an excellent documentary on this, and in fact, I need to find that, and I can get that to you guys. In fact, I'll have that for you by the next live stream, and I'll probably put it in my next email newsletter. It's about an hour and 15 minutes long. It is worth watching. This current law is supported by case law. Green tips will be the new gold. So, but at any rate, it is important for you guys to know some of the stuff that they're, once again, this has to do with Great Reset stuff and the Uniform Commercial Code. basically that defines trade between the states and legal tender for the federal government. It's all in the code. And so at any rate, that is something to worth looking into. But I'm not 100% sure that that's something that we in Missouri will have to worry about, having SEPA, making sure, of course, that, we can keep our SEPA. But, of course, if they're not going to, if Warrior Class is correct, if that video, which is expressing concern about this, that basically you already own nothing. Everything you have can be confiscated by the federal government to pay off debt. And that's what the whole thing is about. I don't think something like that will happen, but it is something we need to monitor. And in
Good
fact,
luck with that. Good
Go
luck
ahead.
with that.
Good luck with that.
I was saying, good luck with that.
Yep. So it is an interesting thing to look into. And of course, this is why we keep trying to separate ourselves. If we keep taking in half of our budget in the state of Missouri, literally from the federal government, there's that comes with a price. We don't even know what that price is. We need to simply stop taking it. And by the way, I want you guys to know that I actually had a discussion with a Democrat senator about how much money the state of Missouri gets from the federal government. And that was actually in the hallway up in Jefferson City. A lot of folks were there that went to testify on HB 1992. Or no, it wasn't HB. It was a Senate bill. It was Coleman's bill, basically eliminating sales tax on food. So Doug Beck came out into the hallway to come and talk to us after we were done testifying in favor of Coleman's bill. And I talked to him about, the sovereignty issue we have in the state of Missouri. He says, what sovereignty issue? I don't even understand what you mean. And I said, we get half of our budget from the federal government. Who's the sovereign in that relationship? And then he literally said, now you're talking to me about sovereignty? He says, this conversation is over. And he just spun on his heel and walked back into the hearing room. And that's exactly how it happened. So, I meant the Democrats are not offended by the sheer amount of money we're bringing in from the federal government. But a lot of conservatives are not liking that situation, not liking that relationship. And why should they? Because who is the sovereign in that relationship when we are dependent on the federal government for our own budget? We're spending beyond our means in the state of Missouri because we can, because the federal government is there giving us all the money we want. So that's something to consider.
When you have a sugar daddy, there's always a price.
That's right. And the federal government is a very large sugar daddy. So they just print it up, right? States can't do that. Federal government can. So they can have a very special relationship with the states that basically is akin. It's very much akin to what happened in the Senate hearing room up in D.C. this last week. All right, I'm going to stop right happened. There.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it's terrible.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Shouldn't have said it. Okay. Let's see. Wilderness Gal says, for those who haven't heard or are interested in real food or raw or basically raw milk, fresh off the farm, purchasing from local farmers or selling off your farm, you might like to join the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund. So I wasn't aware of that. Thank you for letting me know about that. There's all kinds of help out there. And by the way, that is something we have talked about in our group for a while now, is that, of course, gold and silver is our main thing right now. But I think once that's done, I think it might be a real good idea for someone in the House or the Senate to sponsor what's called the Food Freedom Act. It's a 10th Amendment Act that basically gets the FDA out of the food production of your state. I think that would be pretty cool. I think that would be a powerful thing for us to do.
Yeah.
Let's see. Guitar Authority is asking how much of the federal funding is because of Fort Leonard Wood and Whiteman, and I suspect it's a bunch. Because we actually... Go ahead.
Well, it wouldn't necessarily be Whiteman, because that goes directly to Whiteman. That is not handled through our state.
Okay.
Because, I mean, you could say that maybe a small piece of it would be through the Missouri Air National Guard, but it's very, but they also work on base. Everything is handled through the base because the borders of that base are federal land.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. But once again, guys, you can't make the point strong enough. This is a problem in the state of Missouri. How sovereign can we be as a state if literally half of our state budget is federal dollars? Now, some people are going to say, and rightfully so, hey, that's okay because we pay into the federal government. Believe me, we're pulling back a whole lot more than we're putting in. And that is a fact. Actually, I think I remember having a conversation with Senator Eigel about this one time. And he's thinking it's about 40% more than we actually pay in. So that's how extreme it is, gang. So it is something we have to consider. And that's something we will talk about on December 30th, too. In fact, I'll get those numbers for you. And now they're not going to be exact. They're going to be rough. But, you know, because we're always a year or two behind on knowing the actual numbers, but we'll get pretty close on that. And another thing to remember is the Missouri state budget has virtually doubled in 10 years. So, I mean, doubled. So, do you guys feel like you're getting 2 times more services from your state?
Bob Onder just posted that today in a what's what I'm looking for, in a poll on his profile on Twitter.
Yeah.
That same question.
Yeah, it's a good, I didn't see it, but that is a very, very, I would say that's an appropriate question to be asking based on how quickly our budget has grown in the state of Missouri. And yes, the budget has grown because of inflation in the state of Missouri. Yes, I get that. It really, truly has. But on the federal side, it is ballooning. I meant half of our budget, literally half. I don't think any other state in the union gets half of its budget, half of its entire state budget from the federal government. I think it's just us. Yeah, unfortunately, we're like the welfare state as far as the federal government's concerned. But
there's another factor to throw in there too.
Sure.
So like let's say per capita. If you want to use like a per capita standard, you know, California, Newsom over there, he always wants to use that number. We put out more than we take in. Well, that's a fact. At the same time, you have to think about their tax rate, what the tax rate is, what their tax category is overall in California as a result of the average income being higher in the state of California.
Yep.
And then also throw in there too that is based on percentage. So they have more people making more money with a higher percentage. Even if every state took in the exact same amount of money from the federal government, California would still be putting out a lot more than it put in as a result of that. Missouri, our average income and cost of living is much lower than most of the country.
Yep.
So overall, when they split up the federal funds amongst the 50 states, we get more than we put out.
Yep. But I think there's ulterior motives here too. And I think the ulterior motives are pretty clear, actually, and that's something that's being looked into once again by our good friend Isaac with Guitar Authority and with the Canary Cry folks. They're actually investigating a lot of interesting links that they've been finding that basically, let's just say for all intents and purposes, not only are we receiving more money from the federal government budget-wise than any other state, half of our budget's federal dollars, but the New World Order has a very big interest in the state of Missouri. The WEF, the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, has a very, very big interest in the state of Missouri. And that's probably why we're getting so much money, is to try and keep people quiet, and actually start working the plan. Basically that's how they do it. How does the federal government control states? This is through money. This is pure and simple, gang. This doesn't take a rocket scientist. It's through money, and it always has been.
And you throw in all the projects, like the infrastructure projects, like the Grain Belt Express. You throw in there the other one, the I-70 expansion, the things like that are quite literally making the corridors for this to be a central node.
Mm-hmm.
Really think about it.
You know, Misty throws in an interesting statistic, and she would know. Missouri spends twice per capita than Illinois does. Now, do you guys feel like we're getting twice the services that Illinois gets? The answer is no. The answer should be no, by the way. If you feel you are, that's good, you know, because you're definitely feeling some love then from all those federal dollars coming in. I'm certainly not feeling it, gang. I'm not feeling it at all. In fact, I'm feeling the opposite. So, let's see. Coda76 says, what if you took St. Louis and Kansas City out of the numbers for Fed funding? I don't know how that breaks down for cities or anything like that. All I know is the state budget. So I personally don't know the breakdown, but I'll bet you there are people who do that are in the General Assembly. So we'll be sure to ask that question of them.
If you wanted to look at those numbers, I would say look at last year's budget and skim through it and see, or just the general breakdown of where the funding went. And then look what went to infrastructure projects, look what went to, and of course, those infrastructure projects, where they went in what cities. Might be able to figure out that ratio.
Okay. And Isaac has got some information for us. Isaac, go ahead and put that link in again now, buddy. You can put in links. And, yeah, he's watching on YouTube, and he did put a link in. He thought he did, but he didn't have the mod superpower. And so without mod superpower, links only show up for you and not for anyone else. So basically hit that one again, Isaac. Thank you, buddy. Isaac is a very good friend of the initiative and joins us on knock and shock operations up in Jefferson City all the time, by the way. And actually, his sister and his niece, or his daughter, I'm sorry, his sister and his daughter come up quite a bit for knock and shock as well. So we're always happy to have them with us. And his sister is something else. She's a real go-getter up there at the Capitol. She gets a stack of flyers, and she starts hitting offices and talking direct. Okay, there we go. Isaac, your link has come through now. TransAmericaCorridor.com. And once again, this is just a piece of the puzzle. And this is part of what he's looking at, you know, basically for the information on why Missouri is of extreme interest to Klaus Schwab. Why does Klausy like Missouri so much? What's that relationship? What's going on there? And one of the things that we can look at actually directly as direct evidence of this is the businesses that are moving into Dean Plocker's district, and that would be House District 89. So we have cricket farms going in District 89. Let's see, we have fake meat plants, you know, lab-grown meat plants going in there. Let's see, what else? He's creating all kinds of jobs, Dean Plocker. It's no wonder he's running for lieutenant governor. They're growing crickets and fake meat in his district now. And, isn't that part of the agenda for the WEF? Isn't that kind of what they want?
You know, Italy just banned lab-grown meat. I think we need to be kind of like Italy.
I think we should, too. Maybe there should be a bill that bans, you know, putting crickets in the food in Missouri, or lab-grown meat, you know, fake meat, you know, basically. You know, all of that effort and energy is going into making it look like meat, you know, because the lab-grown meat doesn't look like meat when it comes out, trust me. So they have to put dyes, all kinds of weird dyes in it, and certain types of animal fat, or I'm sorry, not animal fat, it's actually a plant fat into it, you know, to increase the tastiness of the lab-grown meat. We should have a specialist or an expert come on our show sometime and talk to us about the lab-grown meat and also the nutritional value of crickets. Go ahead.
The way they do that lab-grown meat is they basically do a giant, I want to say a big stew pot of, and it can only make the chambers so big to do it before the actual waste product of the cells starts causing the cells to die. But they use effectively a cancerous cellular structure of whatever animal they want to produce of it. And then they put that in a big vat with a bunch of cell nutrients and keep it circulating and keep the substance filtered. and eventually, after it multiplies enough really rapidly, they drain it out, press it,
Yep.
add their chemicals to it.
Yep. So it's that simple. It's that simple. It's that grotesque.
Sounds tasty.
Yeah. And by the way, Doug, I know that we're separated by miles and you're on my phone, but I smell a lot of sarcasm in your comment. Yeah.
Maybe just a little bit.
Okay, gotcha. So it wasn't just me.
See,
All right.
we grass-based meat.
Yes.
The animals eat the grass, and then we eat the animals.
That's right. That's right. So why not skip that whole step of actually having to raise a cow and just turn that grass into meat, And that's what Klaus Schwab is figuring is going to save the planet. Because apparently cow flatulence is boiling the planet. The earth had the fever. Hey, that's my Al Gore impersonation for those who haven't heard it before. Your carbon footprint is too large. The earth had the fever. So...
It's what's funny is they keep screaming about global boiling while a bunch of them that were going to the COP28 event,
okay.
or whatever it is that their climate whatever meeting, a bunch of their airplanes got frozen to the ground.
We're all boiling to death. Someone thaw out the planes. You can't make this stuff up, folks. You remember when they were using helicopters with flamethrowers to try and get the ice off of all the wind turbines down in Texas a couple of years ago?
Oh, don't worry. They've switched to drones now.
Okay, good. Oh, boy.
They're electric.
Warrior Class says, Missouri is viewed as very dangerous to the New World Order because the people are so independently minded. They know rebellion could very well start here. I agree with them, which is why I moved here. Well, we're glad to have you here, Warrior.
Have you seen the Klaus Schwab's lovely little video that he put out about libertarians?
Okay, I have not.
If you have not, okay, let me find it real quick.
Okay, while you're finding it, I'm going to read a few comments here. Mike Charlie says the establishment rhinos and Democrats want us feeding at the federal trough because of politics. Those in state government want to go to the federal government. That's right. He also says I get meat from Twisted Ash Farm and dairy in Forrestal, and they have told me the federal government will go take a flying leap in a rolling donut. Okay, go ahead there, Caleb. Did you find your stuff?
I did. Let me grab the link and drop it in here, and then you got to pull that up. You'll get a kick out of that.
You putting it in Gilded or? Okay. Yep, I see it.
Gilded. It's Spike Cohen passed it along too. It's his post of it.
Okay, so here we go. A Twitter link from Spike Cohen, and let's see if we can play the audio here.
The system.
Hang on.
You have this anti-system movement. What we are seeing is a revolution against the system. So fixing the present system is not enough. Now there is, of course, an anti-system, which is called libertarianism, which means to tear down everything which creates some kind of influence of government into private lives. It's dismantling the system. You have this anti...
All right, gotcha. Yeah, that's excellent. It's Klaus Schwab there. And we should reject everything he represents because, once again, he wants us to eat the bugs. But Klaus has got quite an interest in the state of Missouri. And I know we talk about Dean Plocker on the show quite a bit. We should, because he's running for lieutenant governor. We got to know our candidates, folks. I mean, this is on us to know our candidates. And last summer, that would be summer of 2022, right before he was elected House Speaker, but he wasn't House Speaker yet, he took a little trip to Israel. He took the governor with him. It was paid for by the Heritage Group. which is number one customer of his law firm, by the way, number one client. They paid for everyone to take a nice little trip out to Israel. And while the governor was doing all the tours all over Israel for 6 days, Plocker was jet-setting around Europe making business deals. And those are the businesses that are now appearing in his district. Cricket farms, lab-grown meat, things of that nature. So at any rate, know your candidates. Plocker's bringing jobs to Missouri. Cricket farmers, lab-grown meat scientists, he's bringing all kinds of jobs to Missouri. So just remember that when the primaries are swinging around, gang. Let's see. And let's see. Cheryl wants us to know she's tasted the pea protein hamburger at lab testing at MU. And so at any rate, they could never make anything like prime rib and sirloin. Yeah. So the lab-grown meat tastes awful, in my opinion, says Cheryl. Made outside of Colombia Beyond Meat. So, okay, gotcha. So apparently they're doing it in other places now too, of course, because we were supposed to eat the bugs. So that's Cheryl reporting in on Odyssey. And thank you for joining us tonight, Cheryl, by the way.
You know what, though?
What's that?
I will eat the bugs. I will feed the bugs to my chickens. And then I will eat the chickens and their eggs.
Okay, that sounds good. That sounds like something we should be talking to Klaus about. I mean, the old-fashioned way of doing it worked really well, but go ahead.
Chickens don't fart.
Yeah.
Chickens don't fart.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that. So thank you for that biological goodness that you basically serve up.
I know. But it means they don't emit the methane, Maybe he'll take that.
Mm-hmm.
They can be the protein converters. Something,
Yep. Well, any way you slice it, and I mean any way you slice it, that's what they want us to do, is to literally get off of red meat protein. By the way, that's another interesting thing that people should be looking into. How long do people live in Africa? Because their protein is bugs. They don't live so long out there. But of course, they're also being chased down by people with hypodermic needles and Red Crosses on their trucks, trying to give them vaccinations as they're starving to death. So that's the life of living in a village somewhere in Africa. So when Bill Gates shows up, they go running, man. They don't want anything to do with it because they end up sterilized, paralyzed, or dead, within days of him and Melinda leaving, from their greatest hits tour of Africa. Every time they go out there with some new vaccine they want to test.
It's true.
Yep. And Warrior Class says, what will come next? Plocker is illegal aliens to fill those jobs. Well, that could be. We just don't know. That's something that we should discuss as well, is the illegal aliens, coming into Missouri, because this is a known fact now. A lot of those buses have been going to St. Louis and Kansas City. And so that is something of a concern for Missouri. We haven't been hit as hard as New York has, for instance. Illinois is getting hit hard too now. They're going to the blue states, the welfare states. That makes sense for them to go there first because, number one, they're sanctuary states and sanctuary cities. But keep in mind, St. Louis and Kansas City are also sanctuary cities. They have opened their arms to immigrants, basically publicly for the last couple of years. Maybe a little bit longer than that, maybe 5 or 6 years now is when they officially became sanctuary cities. So we have to worry about buses coming here from Texas. I would much prefer if the Texas governor turned those buses around and took them right back across the border to the south side of Mexico, as opposed to busing them all over the United States. But I suppose
Monkey Works.
Yep. There you go.
Monkey Works said that there was 3 planes yesterday that landed in the old KCI airport.
Mm-hmm.
All of them, he figured, was illegals because they all came from Texas.
Yep. So what's the deal with that, gang? Greg Abbott in Texas, as opposed to turning them back, is just busing them into other states that have sanctuary cities. So let's see. Warrior Class says Abbott is a New World Order guy. And you know what? I think you might be right. He might even be WEF. because that actually is not a very good American thing to do. That is certainly not being a good neighbor, to the states surrounding you by spreading the illegal love. So once again, gang, states can do something about this madness. They really, truly can. But it's going to take courage. It's going to take courage to pass legislation to actually say no more to this. And that's something that we may have to do in Missouri, because if it's true that we're a big target for the WEF, guys, let's just brass tacks it right now, okay? We're going to be a sweatshop for the World Economic Forum in Missouri with the way they're eyeballing us. We have resources here, and it's for chip manufacturing, and it's for water disbursement. These are things we have to be looking for in legislation as well. Pipelines leading out of the state of Missouri, taking water from the largest underground and fullest potable water lake in the United States is right underneath our feet right here in Missouri. And I don't know how many of you knew that. Water is a very valuable resource, and we have the cleanest, largest source of underground water in the entire United States of America in Missouri. But we also have cobalt. That's needed for making chips. Chip manufacturing is about to start happening in the United States. They found lithium in Nevada. Lithium mining takes a lot of water. They don't have it. Where are they going to get it from? Northern California? No. They're servicing Southern California. We need to pay attention to this. We need to be aware of these facts and make sure that pipelines are not leading out of Missouri, taking our precious water for lithium mining in Nevada for the New World Order's plan. We're not interested.
To be really blunt here, this session and probably the next couple of sessions, for lack of better terms, we need to be focused more on a wartime legislation.
I agree.
Ideology, something that is going to do everything possible to block the acts of the World Economic Forum, federal government, everything that has to do with what their agenda is.
Public schools, even. I mean, you got to throw that into the mix too, because, and by the way, my wife is producing a lot of videos. I've got to edit them and get them up and running, but she's showing a lot more about what's going on in some of the public schools. She's done a video about Gasconade R1 that has not been fully edited yet and put up, and she's doing a bunch on Clever, the Clever School District. That's where we live, in Clever, Missouri. And we got some shadiness going on here in our school district as well, and it's going to all get exposed. Guys, watch for this. April 2024, school bonds are going on your ballot, and they're trying to max out their bond capacity. This is part of the plan, too. We'll get into more detail on that in a subsequent episode. I wanted to stick with legislation and gold and silver tonight, but we will be covering that stuff very soon. And watch for upcoming released videos from the Missouri Freedom Initiative dealing with school bonds. This is important stuff. Even if it's not your school district, you may want to watch, because chances are it is your school district. You just don't know it yet. And you really need to find out if your school district is trying to max out their bond capacity in April of 2024. And then get back to me and let me know if they are. My wife will be happy to do videos for any school district, but she needs certain assurances first that they're going to work that. We literally can't handle the entire state. There's over 500 school districts. That's a lot of work, gang. But like I said, if she can, partner up with someone that has, access to Facebook for that neighborhood site, the neighborhood of Clever, the neighborhood of Nixa, the neighborhood of Ozark, whatever the big page is on Facebook, that's where those videos need to go. That's where they're most effective, guaranteed. The absolute most effective is on Facebook. And so, but we are looking into it, and we're still working it. And I'm going to shut up here. I'm sorry. Go ahead. If anyone had anything to say, I feel like I'm long-winded sometimes.
I was just going to say that, if there's a lot of things that can be done when it comes to pushing back against this stuff. The new FISA court things that were passed in the new NDAA. That they're trying to push down the line. I don't know if that's passed, gone through the Senate again, or if they went home for their holidays. I think they went home for their holiday.
Okay.
But all these servers, you know what they run off of? State water supplies. State can deny resources of water supplies to their servers to keep their servers cool.
Yep.
meaning their server can no longer exist in that spot unless they want it to catch fire. Um, from it self-destructing. Power supplies, they can deny power to those servers. Um, I mean, anything from, gold and silver is, of course, a second option to get away from that for people. You have, anti-surveillance, anti-asset forfeiture, denying all kinds of resources to the federal.
Mm-hmm.
You could deny resources to the federal for anything that comes out of the UN. Deny assistance to any foreign agency, including the UN. Don't think that they wouldn't turn police departments into that under a treaty.
Yep.
A lot of things that could be done.
That's right. And so the power is with your state. And that's what's been hidden from you, particularly if you've been in the public school system. I hate to say that, but it's true. The public school system doesn't let you know how much power you have as an individual because they want you focused on the federal government. The media is the same way. They don't want you to know the power that you have in your state. You, as an individual, have an enormous amount of power. And when you go out and vote, congratulations, you've used about 1% of your total power. 1%. You can do a whole lot more to make good things happen in your state. That's exactly what our group is all about, the Missouri Freedom Initiative. If you have never gone up to the Capitol before, you are missing out. You have a great opportunity on January 9th, 2024, in 3 weeks. We're going up there for a knock and shock operation. In fact, I said I was going to have a flyer up this past week, but I didn't get time, but it's coming very, very soon. Look to our website for that. Knock and shock is nothing more than large groups of us going up to the Capitol and talking to representatives and senators in large groups about the bills we support and also any other concerns that we have. So that's what knock and shock is really all about. But if you have never talked to a senator, if you have never talked to a representative and you're nervous about doing it, I get it. We've all been there. Join us anyway and watch and learn. Be a part of the group. Be a part of the numbers that show the sheer strength of the people in the state of Missouri going to address concerns with their elected officials. That's what we do. And we have lots and lots of friends up there. We have some people up there that don't like us so much, to be honest with you, but I think they're in the minority. I think a lot of people like us up there. They like us going up there and letting them know what we think about the bills that they are literally filing in Jefferson City, which ones we like and which ones have to die, because we kill bills too. HB 1165, if you guys remember that, it was Jennifer Barker with Informed Health Choice Missouri that informed me about that bill. I didn't even know it existed. But she had caught it. She let us know about it. We studied it in our group, and we joined forces with Jody Grace's group, which is Missouri Freedom Foundation, with Ron Calzone's group, Missouri First, and, of course, with Jennifer Barker's group, Informed Health Choice Missouri. And we came down on that bill like a hammer, and it died. Sometimes you have to go up there and kill bills, and that's what we do as well. We killed, what was it, HJR 79, when they were basically trying to make the ballot initiative process so difficult to use it'd be impossible unless you had deep pockets. So we had to kill that. We want concurrent majority. The vast majority of the House and the Senate agree some form of concurrent majority for IP reform, which means using House or Senate districts or congressional districts for amending the Missouri Constitution. This is a very smart move. And yet there are people up there that want to make it so difficult. They want to make it almost impossible to collect signatures. And then not to mention on the vote side, we will shut down any effort to shut down the Missouri voter. Everyone deserves a shot at getting their voice heard with a ballot initiative. It's on the vote side. We need absolutely more land representation. We can't let Kansas City and St. Louis rule this state. So not for changing the Constitution. It takes 75% to change the Constitution for the United States of America. It takes 50% plus 1 to change the Constitution in Missouri.
Well, it's more of a 75% of the regions, the states.
The states. I'm sorry, 75% of the states. Yeah.
Not 75% of the population.
Yep.
And then, you can't do that here in Missouri either. You have to have each individual divided up land space and their culture in that area represented in that change.
Yep. Misty says 1165 is a creation of CDBC. Don't forget that Plocker is a UCC commissioner. That is right. I forgot about that. Yep. So Plocker is probably going to try and get another version of HB 1165, which was, basically it was had all kinds of talk in there about digital currency. And it was a trade in between states, basically the infrastructure for trade in between states for an electronic payment system. They were setting up basically the framework of the construct for a central bank digital currency with that bill. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think we've pretty much covered everything. I'm going to look at our comments here real quick and make sure I didn't miss anything. Let's see.
I think the comments on Twitter aren't working right. It says limited by broadcaster, and I know that wasn't intentional.
Oh, no, that's shoot. No, that's a mistake on my side. Guys, I am an expert at making mistakes. So if anyone needs to know how to make mistakes, I'm the guy to come talk to, trust me. Let's see. Abu Ray says, vote no. All taxes are a no. You know what? I agree with you personally, but I never tell anyone how to vote. What I like to do is get them as much information as possible, and I'm very happy to share how I'm voting. But I appreciate your sentiment, though. Trust me. I really, truly do. But I agree. I'm going to vote no on the bond for a clever school district. But we have very specific reasons because they're lying to us about a whole bunch of stuff from the school. And then also, too, and we're going to put out a video about this. I know I keep saying this, but it's coming. And Gretchen Garrity is going to help with this, too. We're putting out a video exposing the Missouri State School Board Assembly and who controls them, because they control your state or your school board in your district. You elect those guys to represent you to take care of the school, right? But they're not listening to you. It's in their handbook. They know who to listen to. It's actually in black and white. So they're not listening to you. They just need you to get elected, and then they need you to just get out of the way because they're listening to a higher power. So that's the way it works in the school districts in the state of Missouri, and I suspect in all states across the United States, but it will be exposed by the Missouri Freedom Initiative. We have lots and lots of friends, gang. The Missouri Freedom Initiative has a lot of friends, a lot of power in those friends and the research that they do. And we will expose the public school system in the state of Missouri for what it is. And it is not local. Everyone should be asking for one thing and one thing only of their school district: local control. They don't have it right now. I take it back. Camdenton, the city of the school district Camdenton, I do believe they actually dropped out of membership with the Missouri School Board Association. So they're the only locally controlled school district in the entire state of Missouri. We have 1 out of 550, gang. We should have more than that. You could tell I'm passionate about this. Okay. Okay, I think we covered all of the stuff here on the chats as well. I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Going to try and wrap it up here when we're at our 90-minute mark. We can remember now we're on the radio as well on Missouri Liberty Radio. Don't forget to check out tonight where they're talking about Shop with a Cop program up in Owensville, Missouri. A very, very worthy charity for your donation. I do believe that they're still getting money for that, but I think the shopping is going to start next week. So if you're in Owensville, actually listen, and if you're anywhere in the state of Missouri, listen to Sam Britton's show tomorrow night on Missouri Liberty Radio. That's at 6 p.m. at molibertyradio.us. If you're local to Owensville, it's 101.3 FM. And you can hear about the Shop with a Cop program and all the good things that Sam is doing, along with others, to help disadvantaged kids in their community. I want to thank all of you for watching. Oh, hang on. Misty says something here, too. Camdenton schools also refused ESSER 3 COVID money. Wow, I didn't know that. Actually, I need to let my wife know that, Misty. So, 1/2 schools that refused the money. So at any rate, I didn't know that they refused the ESSER funds. That's actually really important because that's actually hamstringing a lot of schools right now. That's why they're going for these bonds right now, is because the ESSER funds stop September of 2024. It's a lot of money for these schools. I think it's $1.2 million a year for our school district. And so they're, oh, geez, we got used to all this COVID relief money from the federal government. We used it for teacher salaries. Now we need to get bonds to clear off the lease purchase debt or the internal debt of the school so we can increase the teacher pay out of the original levy. You know, but I know that was complicated, gang, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean it to be, but trust me, Misty is actually on to something here. She said the rules for ESSER 3 hadn't been written at the time. You had to apply for the grant. So, yeah, that's interesting stuff, and I'll make sure that Retha knows that going forward, too, because that's a big part of our investigation into the school districts, is that right now, ESSER funds are disappearing September of 2024, and schools are addicted to that federal cash heroin. They're addicted, and it's going away, and they know it's going away, and they're desperate to make sure that they have something to replace it. Local effort. They're doing it from school bonds, gang. So, and they're not supposed to be using school bonds this way. They're lying about what they're getting the bond money for. And that's part of what we're talking about. That's part of what the videos Retha's been talking about, plus the language that they use on the bonds. You know, basically a no tax increase bond issue. Of course it's a tax increase, but it's a horizontal one. Instead of you getting a tax break from your school district next year, you don't get a tax break ever. You know, you just continue paying the same thing for 20 years. Oh, but wait, there's more. Because as soon as your county commissioners decide that your property is worth more money, you'll be giving more money to the schools anyway. As soon as they raise your property taxes 10, 15%, is what most of us experienced here in the last 3 years. Schools continually get more money. Don't feel bad for your schools. You want to know who is the most powerful entity in your county? It's your schools. They get more money than anyone else. They get more money than all the law enforcement and the county combined. That's how much money the schools bring in. You know, they're hemorrhaging funds. They have a lot of money, and they're complaining they don't have enough, just like government generally does anyway. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on that vocal bender. But this is something I'm passionate about, as well as the property taxes we all pay in the state of Missouri and personal property taxes. It's getting out of control here. We don't want to be Illinois. And when people keep voting in, you know, these referendums and these school bonds, you know, for the local school district, they are doing it to themselves. But they keep saying it's a no tax increase, and that's why they vote them in. And as soon as the county raises taxes, the school gets a larger percentage again. Every time. And especially they're raising your taxes like every 2 years now. 10%, 15% every 2 years. You guys are feeling it. You know what I'm talking about. You guys know what I'm talking about. So it's time for us to expose the truth about what's going on with school bonds in the state of Missouri. And yes, I know we're getting a lot of detractors. If you follow us on Twitter, you know, I don't know if you guys are following Jess Piper at all, but her crew comes after me all the time. Of course, I delve into her tweets once in a while as well, but holy mackerel has she been going after us. And she is very pro-public school. You know, she is, no matter what, give them more money. I mean, that's, you know, where she comes from. And I come from the public schools are doing quite evil things. And I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to keep rewarding, you know, them doing what they're doing by giving them more money, especially when they won't answer to the local people. Of course, if you want to go to your local school board meeting and get 3 minutes to talk, because that's what my wife and I do. We get 3 minutes. If we're lucky, we get 5 minutes to talk to the school board. Yet just this past Tuesday night, we went and the bankers showed up to talk about the bond, and they got to talk for half an hour to the board. Holy mackerel, what I could do with half an hour talking to that board. I don't get that, but the bankers do. Remember now, you don't control your board. You just vote for them. Other people control your board, and bankers are one of the people that control your board. Okay, I'm sorry. Another rant, another passionate rant.
But right, though.
Yeah,
it's this thing, and they don't like it when you're right.
Yep. Yeah, let's see. Mike says a very weird twist between injections and the genetic damage from Down syndrome. So Mike was apparently talking something about Down syndrome. I'm sorry, buddy, I missed that. We'll catch up with you next time, though, because I'm going to go ahead and end the live stream. Before I do, I want to thank all of you for joining us. Your time is precious, and I realize that. What we're doing is we're doing what we can to make sure that we're as free as possible in the state of Missouri. That's what the Missouri Freedom Initiative does, and we do it legislatively. We show up. That's what we do. Not only are we just doing live streams, not only do we make phone calls, as you heard tonight when I called my representative, we email them as well, but we also have scheduled times to go up to the Capitol and show our support for certain bills or work to kill other bills that should not become law in the state of Missouri. This is people power, plain and simple. There are no corporate backers for us. There are no donations to us. Your own time, your own dime, as Casey Rich is famous of saying. That's what we do. So there's no lobbying going on here. This is true grassroots. This is as real and as organic as grassroots get. And we're throwing our support behind HB 1955. I'm almost positive of that. We're going to be voting as a group, though, but I'm pretty sure we're there. So that's one thing you know already for January 9th. For January 9th, if you are into the gold and silver bill, you definitely want to join us to help support that bill and get co-sponsors. So thank you for spending some time with us tonight to, basically learn a little bit more about what's going on in the state of Missouri. We should have some SEPA news here in the near future. And once again, I really appreciate each and every one of you. If you are not on our email list, please get on our email list. It's very important, especially when the legislative season begins. Just go to our website, mofree.org, and you can get on our email list right from the website. That is literally the best, most efficient, quickest way we can get a hold of people when we have urgent matters to attend to in Jefferson City, whether it be by email, phone call, or by visit. January 9th is the date to remember, though, for a visit up to Jeff City. And it looks like we're going to have lots of office space for coats and lunch boxes. And even though the event is from 9 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, you don't have to stay that long. As much time as you can give during that allotted time period between 9 and 5 is very much appreciated. And we'll talk a lot more about it in next week's live stream. So please keep that date on your calendar. And thank you once again for joining us. Doug and Maya, who joined us via Ma Bell. We have Caleb with us, in Gilded, Voodoo, and then we had John from the Missouri Liberty Report in Gilded as well. But he was also chiming in on the YouTube side. And all of you who joined us tonight, all of you who gave us some comments here, I really do appreciate each and every one of you for participating in this experiment we call freedom in the state of Missouri, using your power to get good things done in the state of Missouri, because no one is going to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself, and we'll be very much involved in that process to help you get there. So thank you again for joining. May God bless each one of you, and I really mean that. May God bless the state of Missouri. May God bless the good things that are going on in the state of Missouri, and may God help us shut down the bad things that are going on in Missouri. All right, gang. Thank you again. Have a good night.